Whoa. Well, it's that time of the year again. After a long waiting, one hell of a roller coaster, napalm shitstorm ride that it was, we've made it. It is officially December 17th, the anniversary, the 5th anniversary actually, since The Force Awakens dropped, and I even think the 3rd anniversary since The Last Jedi came out in theaters. So with 2020 now finally coming to an end, instead of looking back at all the bad things and atrocities and tragedies that happened this year, why don't we look back and actually look at some of the great things, even the incredible things that happened this year? The movies. Even though not many came out this year either, so even they messed that up somehow. Jesus. So without further ado, and without too much rambling on, as I probably will inevitably do in this video, here is my top 5 favorite movies of 2020. Now obviously, as you all can instantly notice, this year is rather different in the fact that my list, instead of being top 10, is only a top 5. Why the hell could that be possible? How the hell can this happen? I always do a top 10. Well, as you all have not noticed, possibly, about 80% of all the films this year have either been postponed or practically canceled for the release this year. Though the whole quarantine thing to protect myself and my family, I couldn't even go to the theaters to see that many movies, which has been practically the #1 way I see new movies every year. And with that being out of the picture, it was really all dependent on me watching it on Netflix or Disney Plus or any other possible streaming service that I had. And then with that coming the other thing that honestly, this year was really so much of a disaster for me and such a big mess and such a big and endless loop of anxiety and stress and paranoia that I was so busy with other things going on in the family life, and even more just so desperate to find something good of the past, going mainly for retro shows or films that I've already seen, that I didn't get a chance to see that many new things. So instead of doing a top 10, let's just do a top 5. So without further ado, here are my top 5 films of 2020. Coming in at number 5, we have Pixar's Onward. Now, Onward was a very unique film, and almost a surprise film to come out this year. Not so much for the story that Pixar was telling with Onward, but more for the release of this film. It being one of the first big films of the year to be postponed, and even with fear of possible cancellation, with no one really knowing the future of Onward or any of Disney's other big projects. But by surprise, they still managed to successfully release it, being one of the first big digital releases, aside from Trolls World Tour. God, I can't believe that. Can't believe I have to keep saying that, where I got to see it multiple times, especially when it first came out, and it really got me through those first months of quarantine, man. And that was really, honestly, what I loved a lot about this film and why I really put it in my favorites. Without it already being a great film to start with, the #1 thing I appreciated about Onward this year was its dedication to originality. As much as I love Pixar sequels, and as incredible as they can still be, I still always appreciate it. I'm always so excited when Pixar explores new themes and new characters and new kinds of storytelling. And they especially did that with Onward this year, and even more did that with their final release of this year. Both films that Pixar released this year, honestly, both get credit for their originality. But out of both of them, I really do say, as much as I do love Onward, especially for its medieval fantasy setting with its buddy film twist mixed into it, especially with the incredible cast of Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, I feel like they don't go too much for its unique kind of setting that they explore so much in. They definitely go more for the buddy film aspect. Almost I'd even say a Bill and Ted style to a lot of the story, with a little more emotional twist admittedly. It's not as comedic and weird as Bill and Ted is. Still definitely one of my favorite stuff, so we love it. The ending gets you tearing up as always with Pixar magic, and it's such a stunning film to watch with such incredible characters to continue with that. It's a great time all around. I just don't think it goes far enough with it. At my number 4 spot coming in is Spike Lee's The Five Bloods. Now, The Five Bloods was a very interesting kind of film to come out this year. It happened to almost perfectly come out. I wonder if that was purposely planned. In its release of coming out one of definitely the most divisive times of this entire year. And Spike Lee is no stranger to that. I would dare even say his whole career is almost exploring the political messes and political history of the United States. And especially a lot of its injustices, even to the minority and civil rights aspect of it in America. Spike Lee exploring those same issues in a terrifyingly different era that was honestly not so long ago but believed to be so drastically different from nowadays, and explore and dare make the claims that it's really not changed too much and what is occurring once again, and it's almost like history is starting to repeat itself, only with a different culture and different icons. Now, however, a big problem I did have with the Five Bloods that I've had mainly with Spike Lee films for the last few years, especially with Black Klansman, is Spike Lee's very odd editing choices and editing style that he has for a lot of his latest releases to come out these last few years, that almost really give it almost a strange YouTube video or YouTube vlog kind of style to it, which once again is not bad for what you're talking about, but especially for films that are mainly exploring very divisive and very serious topics, especially in what is happening in American politics and the injustices happening in this country, to all of a sudden just cut in the strange YouTube like edit to something Donald Trump said once in a stupid speech and then just focus on some guy in the background and have this big annotation. It almost feels like Spike Lee was making a really shitty YouTube video that I probably would have made a few years ago. Still to near perfection throughout the film, just cannot be ignored, and honestly what I absolutely love about him is how he explores the different natures on what these events do to people, especially when talking about something like the Vietnam War. So despite the weird editing choices that Spike Lee chooses, especially early in the film, that really threw me off and kind of took me out of the experience, especially for like the first 30 minutes, still the story is just so incredibly relevant, and the characters are just so empathetic and interesting to explore their past, and especially the main cast of exploring their experiences with the Vietnam War, that you just can't help but watch and even think about what's happening today and really make you think, holy shit, we are really entering another boiling point in this country's history again. This year, watching another Spike Lee movie and absolutely loving it, it finally encouraged me to go back and look at his past films and finally get to see Malcolm X for the first time, which is definitely his best film he's made to date. If you get a chance to see The Five Bloods, please make sure to have some time to also get a chance to see Malcolm X. An incredible film. And for my number 3, as mentioned earlier throughout the review, Bill and Ted Face the Music. Now, if you all have seen my review of Bill and Ted Face the Music, you all are aware that these last few months for me have really been the most stressful and the scariest for my whole family. With all of us testing positive for coronavirus, really was not a good time. So much insane shit happened with us having to deal with, that I was really more than ever, despite the whole year just really being one big nostalgia exploration of going back and seeing my past favorite films or even past favorite TV shows, and even exploring some new retro works of the past that I never got a chance to see. Bill and Ted being one of them. I saw the entire Bill and Ted trilogy, with the first two from the 80s and 90s finally being something I was able to watch with some of my best buds on Discord, that it was just so much fun to see classic 80s magic and classic 80s fun all around on my small screen, and to finally have something to laugh about, something to have fun with. And I was so glad that they were able to pull it off once again, especially in a year like this. To see Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter in their 50s still perfect these characters and just made me just burst out in laughter, even get my pal Nick and I just laughing out loud, or even wanting to understand the jokes that they were making, because we're not really, as much as music nerds as we can also be, there's just really a lot of musicians we don't really know, so us really guessing where the hell Mozart is from, yeah, I really didn't know where Mozart is from, don't judge me. However, as mentioned, as fun classic 80s joy that the first Bill and Ted films were, and as incredibly still and successfully does in the third one, it's still really not perfect, but with a lot of strange plot points and side plots that never really go anywhere in the end, and just some jokes that really don't land, especially with a lot of them with the dentist character, that at some points when they were in hell, I just go, okay, it seems like they're just awkwardly playing this out. Where the hell is this even going? But despite that, it's just still so much fun to watch, and it's definitely something I need, especially in a time like this. Bill and Ted Face the Music is classic 80s fun that we all need. Is it perfect? Hell no. Is it still goddamn good? You bet your ass it is. And that's why it's my number 3. And to come in for my number 2, another fun political drama, The Trial of the Chicago 7. It's weird to think that Netflix had 2 politically relevant films to come out this year about almost like the same kind of topic. But hey, if you can do it, great. Why not do it multiple times? With Trial of the Chicago 7 being similar in style and what it explores of relevant political drama and division that is happening this year, with a lot of main topics being on injustice and government corruption, Trial of the Chicago 7 explores that again, once again through the era of the 60s and 70s, and even of the exact same kind of topic, the Vietnam War. But with The Five Bloods, as I mentioned earlier, despite how incredibly and well explored it is throughout the characters and the narrative, its strange editing really throws me off, especially in the beginning of the film, something that Trial of the Chicago 7 does not have, and even actually perfects some of my favorite scenes of the whole year, and some of my favorite editing bits come from this movie, especially by the middle act, where they almost have this Nolan-esque kind of storytelling throughout even the whole movie of, not everyone truly being sure until the end of what truly happened and what events led to them and the reason why they're on trial in the first place, which is so much fun and incredibly just tense to watch it slowly unfold as you get just little nuggets of information to learn more and more of what really happened and that fateful night that got the Chicago 7 on trial in the first place. Get the title? I'm sorry, I'll go home. So with the trial of the Chicago 7, still incredible character development and incredible writing, just like the Five Bloods did have, but also with incredible performances such as Sarah Cohen Baron, which had 2 political films that he would be part of this year. One where he plays a still really funny, strange, odd guys. We're kind of hippies in a way. I don't know. Trial of the Chicago 7 just perfects the political drama in delivering its message and the themes that it's trying to explore, and how relevant this film still is in a time like this, especially for the atrocities that we witnessed live on TV of what was happening throughout the cities this year, and how the government was just straight up suppressing people's right to protest. And to see that just literally be being played out, and not even me being aware of the exact same events being played out just for different events and with different people just a few decades ago, is a terrifying reminder of why it's so important to continue fighting for American democracy and for democracy all around the world, and how easily it can be threatened if not paid attention to enough. And the trial of Chicago 7 just perfects that. And yeah, it's a really sad film to watch, honestly, especially for what's happening today, and it really gets you stressed out, but even through the end of the film with this incredible hopeful message still being to be aware of these things, as much as it can suck sometimes, is still 1000% important to do, because it's the only way we can fight it. And I absolutely love that this year Netflix delivered 2 films like this. I just happen to think that Trial of the Chicago 7 perfected what they were going for, and that's why I put it in my number 2. Now, before I talk about my number 1 film of 2020, believe it or not, there's some honorable mentions. Despite the list being so goddamn short, there were still just enough films that I did also get to see this year that I still think deserved some little praise. My first one coming in, Bad Boys for Life, the literal first film that I saw this year, and actually one of the only films I got to see it on the big screen. To be the first film to see on the big screen is still quite exciting, especially in a year like this, so memorable, but especially for being such a surprisingly just really good time is what even makes it better. You can make something good out of anything, especially in filmmaking. To make a sequel to a dumb popcorn flick film like Bad Boys, to be done so well and somehow still bring back compelling characters and even bring a surprising twist twice throughout the story, one better than the other, but still. Bad Boys for Life. Please check it out if you can. If you want to have a good action movie, there's a good action movie to watch. Also watch Extraction. I didn't see that one. I just really want people to know you should watch it. I should watch it too. And for the other one is actually very special and quite interesting, because this was also another film I had absolutely no faith in, but honestly did not really enjoy as much as Bad Boys for Life, but also I'm still quite excited that it was successful and others still enjoyed it. That's Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, this one is definitely one that I really don't see all the big love for, because some people really love this film that I've seen online, which surprised me. And it's so hilarious to think that literally last year there's like the fucking biggest meme of like the entire year of like that insane trailer with that ridiculous picture of Sonic. Oh my god. And at the same time as anything is possible for that, anything is possible for a surprisingly pretty decent film with Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog being another video game movie to come out in the last 5 years that surprisingly successfully treats the characters and the material with utmost respect. Originally seemingly to not give a single shit about it with whatever the hell that trailer was. The fans cried out so much, the audiences and critics ripped the shit out of it so much that the director heard and decided to do the one brave thing that you just really don't see nowadays, to completely halt production and start from scratch and reanimate the character. And honestly, that alone makes up for a lot of the film, and that's one of the big surprises that Sonic the Hedgehog brings to me. It's incredible visual effects. Sonic the Hedgehog looks amazing. He looked just like Sonic. I was just so quite excited and happy as someone who has been a gamer for most of his life as much as a film lover, to finally see somebody treat another video game project with utmost respect, with still my personal favorite being Detective Pikachu. So it gets me more excited that more and more properties and of video games are being treated with more respect in the Hollywood industry, to finally soon see them start taking bigger risks and make other video game property films. I know The Last of Us TV show is coming out soon, and I really hope they treat that thing with utmost respect, because I believe video games are made for the big screen, especially some of the properties like that. So I hope Sonic the Hedgehog shows more and more to the big studios up in Hollywood that we want stories of these, and they can be incredible. Just give a damn about them and treat them with respect, and we can get them. And for my final honorable mention, we have Wonder Woman 84! No. And for my number one film of 2020, Soul. You know, it's honestly astonishing that in a year like 2020, with so much chaos and even so much tragedy in the film industry itself, that you can still see a studio like Pixar do one thing: bring magic. Magic to the small screen and even sometimes a big screen in the places that they got to see it in. Its first film back in 1995 with Toy Story, and ever since, even aside from a few exceptions, never failing to bring that cinematic magic. Pixar is the king of cinematic magic, especially in the animation world. Soul is just another reminder of Pixar's never-ending devotion to cinematic magic. If Onward was a film that explored a unique concept, Soul was a film that had an adventure with its unique concept, made an entire museum to its new concept, and a concept so deep and so universal to all: the meaning of life. How many people honestly I don't think there's religions that take the amount of time and seriousness as Pixar does to explore something as deep as that, and to explore life and death and the beauty and genuine fear of both of them, but still the importance of them. The magic of finding your passion and what you love to do with the rest of your life, and even more beautifully, to just explore the beauty of life and why it's still so important to always appreciate every little bit of it. From the beautiful trees and the mother nature that we have all around us, to the big things in our lives, like our family or our big achievements and our big dreams. It's just done so well, honestly. It's just, I can't believe I'm even talking about it. A kid's film exploring things like this. Soul was the greatest reminder of me about that. To appreciate all the time I have on this world, and sometimes it's unbelievable and sometimes almost untrue as those lessons can be, they're the most universal thing in the world for every living creature on this planet. Obviously, us humans are still so goddamn complex and so many different annoying needs, but god damn it, when things work, they could really work. And Soul is just one of those reminders that sometimes just watching a damn good movie with your friends on Discord can be like the greatest feeling in the world. Guys, that was my top 5 list of my favorite movies of 2020. I know it was actually quite short, but you know what? For how short as it was, I'm really glad that this was definitely another year of the ultimate definition of quality over quantity. I honestly only saw about 12 to 11 new movies this year that came out this year, and I saw also a lot of great shows this year for the first time, I will admit. But even with that altogether, I've probably seen 20 new things that came out in 2020. But my god, out of all of them, aside from like 2 strange exceptions, all of them without fail either had me laughing my ass off or had me as an emotional wreck in the most beautiful way possible. And sometimes that's all you need. That's why I do these kind of videos, man. Guys, this year was one hell of a roller coaster. But honest, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of this roller coaster with me. The same roller coaster that had me indoors this entire year and practically losing my mind and getting cabin fever was the same year I got accepted into college. Almost had the chance to make a Warner Brothers film. Yeah, that almost happened. It was a student film, but still it almost happened. The same year that we lost incredible actors and icons like Chadwick Boseman and even Boba Fett. It was still the same year that we got one of the best pieces of Star Wars content ever. Twice. Watch both. No excuse. And hell, the same year that had my whole family panicking and thinking that we could lose the people we love, at the end, it was also the same one that definitely kept us closer together more than ever this year. So I'm really glad this all happened. I know that's crazy to say, and I'm almost about to regret it, but I'm really glad we had these years that were not particularly the worst, but at the same time, we're kind of the worst. A great reminder of what we can lose. 2020 in a nutshell, man. A year in review. Guys, thank you all for watching once again. Take care of yourselves. Wear your goddamn mask, or I will spiritually beat the shit out of you. I can do it. The happiest of New Year's, everyone. And also, have a lovely day. See you guys.